Hey y'all, this is David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about splitting the party. A lot of people say don't split the party. Well, I'm going to say, how do you split the party? How should you split the party? So this is going to be more of an instructional video here, I would hope. I hope somebody gets some educational value out of it. So what is splitting the party? That's when you have your 6 players come in, and 3 of them go left, and 3 of them go right, and they're not in the same room anymore. They're not within line of sight of each other. So this happens for a variety of reasons. It can simply be that one of them wants to go off and do something in secret from the others. It can be that they just have different interests they need to pursue. One needs to go to pray at the temple. One needs to check in with the Thieves Guild. Usually in a dungeon scenario, I don't do a lot of dungeon crawls, but I do enjoy them when they're well done. Usually in a dungeon scenario, it doesn't make a lot of sense to split the party. We've all seen the horror movies where they split up and they each die individually, and that's a great illustration of what should logically happen a lot of the time when you split up. So players should be smart enough not to do that. I mean, I hope just in real life most people would be smart enough not to do that. So it shouldn't really happen that much in a dungeon scenario. But it does happen quite a bit when you get to town. Everyone goes in different directions. One way to avoid this, because it can be strenuous to a GM, so one way to avoid it is make sure they have a unified party theme. If they're all members of the same organization, like a temple, they're probably still just going to stay together when they get to town. They're all going to go to the temple. If they're all members of a Thieves Guild, they're going to go to the local guild hall. If they're all members of a noble family, they're probably going to visit with the local nobles and or stay at the tavern, or rather the local inn in town. So that's the easiest way to avoid it. Make sure you have a unified goal, that they are a team rather than a group of individuals, and then they'll just stay together more naturally. So that's what it is. That's how to avoid it. My best advice on how to avoid it, because it can be strenuous. But here's how to do it right. So if they split up, pick one group or the other, and just go to them. Okay, and then run a scene for them until like one thing happens, like one memorable thing, one good place to break the action. So one group goes to the temple, and you describe the outside of the temple. They come in. They start talking to the priest. And I'm like, okay, they met the priest. They're talking to him, and we'll switch to you. What do you do? What do you do? And have them run through. They're going to the Thieves Guild hall. I'm like, okay, well, this is this is how you find it. You get a scummy informant, maybe a beggar, and he directs you through, and you see the building. And I describe what it looks like. And I jump back to the temple, and I go through, okay, you're at the temple, you met the priest, and you're talking, and he reveals one or maybe 2 pieces of information to you, or vice versa. And then we jump back to the other party, the other group. And okay, you've found out where it is, you see it, now you enter it, and you meet with the guild master there. And we jump back. And basically you just want to juggle and jump back as quickly as possible without making your narrative stilted in either one. So that means each group is only waiting for the minimal amount of time, because how you don't want to do it is when the party splits, grab half of the party, focus on them, and run through, go to the temple. That's what the temple looks like. Go into the temple, meet the priest, have a long talk with the priest, get down at the altar, make a sacrifice, say a prayer, hear from your God perhaps, and then head out of the temple. And then, stick with them through like a shopping trip. Meanwhile, these poor guys at the Thieves Guild are just sitting there bored out of their skulls, just waiting and waiting. You know, they're going to start texting on their phone. They're going to start talking out of character. You know, hopefully, you know, this will be a great time for them to talk in character to each other. But if you leave them long enough, they'll probably lapse out of character. So you don't want that to happen. You don't want them to be bored. So you want to jump back and forth as quickly as possible without making it like, okay, you walk 5 feet, now you walk 5 feet. No, that's too much. But try to make sure nobody's waiting for very long. And I've had parties split in numerous ways. You know, I've had the dungeon where they went in, there's 6 of them, and they split into 2 groups of 3, and then they split again into 2 groups of 2 and 2 groups of 1. So I got 4 different groups that I'm jumping back and forth between. But if you keep it quick, that's fine. I've had the group, half the group actually took a ship and headed to another city, while the first half of the group stayed in the original city. And so we were like that. We were split up for at least a month out of game, at least 4 sessions, and it was fine. It's like when you're reading, Game of Thrones, or watching a TV show with multiple narratives. It doesn't follow one group through their whole story and then the other group through their whole story. It jumps back and forth and back and forth, and that's what you want to do. Keep the interest there, and push the pace while telling the story that they want to tell. So I think that's it. It's pretty easy when you think about it. Just make sure that you don't neglect the people waiting, and you jump back and forth as often as you can. And of course, just before any of this gets started, make sure they all have a reason to be together. So after they split up, they have a reason to come back together. So that's it. Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear some of your scenarios about when your party has split and what kind of shenanigans they got into, because it can be tremendously entertaining when that happens. So tell me in the comments below, your most fun split the party moment and your most game destroying party split, and I'll come back to you real soon with another video.